Good morning, good morning. Today is the 23rd of July. A happy Thursday, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of Morning Well. Three things that we will talk about: Pfizer and BioNtech deal, Microsoft and Tesla's earnings, ECB is leaning towards asking banks to hold off on dividends. All three main US indexes closed to the green on Wednesday, with the S&P 500 rising to its highest level in 5 months, helped by the news that the US government had agreed to buy 100 million of coronavirus vaccines from Pfizer and BioNtech. Investors also welcomed the progress made on US stimulus negotiations after CNBC reported that Republicans are considering extending the current employment benefits. The Dow rose 0.6%, the S&P 500 also gained 0.6%, with the Nasdaq advancing by 0.2%. Pfizer's shares rose about 5.1%, leading the Dow. Under the $1.95 billion agreement, US will receive 100 million doses of the vaccine after it is cleared by regulators and can also acquire another 500 million doses. The vaccine is set to enter late-stage testing this month. Investors have welcomed any signs of progress towards a vaccine that could allow economic activity to resume without a subsequent rise in infections. Drug makers stand poised to benefit. The US also has vaccine deals with other companies, including AstraZeneca. BioNTech's US listed shares gained about 13.7%. BioNTech and Pfizer's $2 billion deal with the US may set a price ceiling for other producers of the experimental COVID-19 vaccine to less than $20 a dose. This current dose is priced at about $19.5 per shot. So that's something that we might have to keep in mind when we are evaluating other companies that are coming up with vaccine solutions. Stocks got a boost in the final hour after sources told CNBC that Republicans are considering extending current unemployment benefits at $400 per month through December. That could be lower than the current unemployment benefit of about $600 per week. It's a big difference, but nonetheless it added to the market sentiment. Market sentiment was kept in check though earlier in the session when US State Department abruptly ordered China to close its consulate in Houston. In retaliation, China is considering closing the US consulate in Wuhan. So something that don't know how much of it is going to have a bearing on the markets, but this tit for tat seems to keep continuing. 10-year treasuries decreased by about 1 basis point to 0.6. The lowest in 3 months, while it was lower against the dollar was actually lower against most of the G10 pairs. Gold advanced, it continued its advance, and Asian equity futures are mixed. On the equity side, we'll dwell a little deeper into Microsoft and Tesla's earnings, and then we'll see what to look forward to in today's earnings. Microsoft turned in another quarter of stronger than expected growth on Wednesday. The pandemic brought a jump in activity in its gaming business and solid demand for PCs. The surges in playing and work from home were the biggest factors in the 13% jump in revenue in the latest period to about 38 billion, with the earnings per share rising about 7% to 1.46. Wall Street was expecting a revenue growth of only 9%, so we got 13% instead of 9%. And unchanged earnings. So we got 7% instead of the unchanged earnings. Personal computing, which is the name given by to the company's PC and gaming division, saw a revenue jump of about 14% to 12.9 billion. That's almost 1.5 billion more than expected. The coronavirus crisis also fed demand for the Azure cloud platform, where sales were up about 47%. By contrast, sales of traditional server software were unchanged from a year ago. So overall, the shares traded about 2% lower after these results. Tesla, on the other hand, reported its second quarter results. Shares rose about 6% after hours as the company beat expectations and reported its fourth straight quarter of profit. Tesla also reported its first full year of profitability on a GAAP basis, which means that it can now be considered for inclusion in the S&P 500 index. On the ECB side, the ECB is leaning towards asking banks to hold off on dividends at least through the end of the year. Several members of the supervisory board don't yet see enough clarity on the economy to justify that lenders start returning capital again. Though no final decision has been taken, shares in European banks took a turn lower. We'll be looking forward to Intel, AT&T and Twitter's earnings today, among many other companies. On the FX side, uncertainty about what happens to the US economy after the extra $600 employment benefit expiry drove investors out of the US dollar. The greenback traded lower against all of the major currencies except for the Japanese yen. The recent decline drove Euro USD to its strongest level since October 2018 and dollar CHF to the weakest level since March. Aussie dollar and New Zealand dollar also continued its climb to a multi-month high versus the greenback. That's your update. Stay safe and healthy, everyone, and I'll speak to you tomorrow. Thank you.